Thank you so much for listening to part 1B. And just know that, yeah, I will be trying to time these out a little bit differently. I'm still trying to figure out my mojo with this. And I know normally I try to do the basic half hour type of thing, but yeah, I went a little over. Oops. But as I was talking, I kept thinking of more examples and scenarios that prove my point. And I used to do bullet points, but then I kind of felt like going blank page would allow me to circle around different areas and go back and forth more freely because sometimes one item connects to three or five other pieces in my notes, and going back and forth, I didn't think would be like the same exact quality that I would want. But anyway, please look and read like some of the information. And the one about disability, it's not exactly a lie, but I know some people who say they voted for 45 and everything. When I ask them why, and they talk about eggs and bread and they had more money in their pocket and things like that, yeah, you really need to read the tweet by David Jolly in the left hand corner. But I feel like if you feel more about your eggs and everything than the quality of life and people feeling safe and secure from the disability community, if you don't care how we are treated, then that tells me a lot because I like my ex's family members, a lot of them are full blown 45 lovers. I don't, I won't say that they are MAGA for sure, but from what I have observed, they would fit under MAGA, from what I have observed, in my opinion. But when talking to them, I think I've mentioned this in one of the videos, like when his mom would watch me walk quite a lot and try to ask questions, but not to be empathetic, but just to be nosy. And I remember she was just like, well, you should file for disability. You have no business out there. And I was just like, well, from conversations I've heard you said people filing for disability are lazy and they don't want to work and they just want to stay at home. So now you're telling me to do just that. Well, I see how you're walking, dear. I see you're actually telling the truth. Okay, so what about the other millions of people who file for disability? Do you think they're lying? Do you think they're making it up just to make a measly amount of money per month? When a lot of them, they want to be able to like go out and do certain things that their disability sometimes doesn't allow them to do. To me, it's ridiculous and it's sad, but this is America. These are the people that I bump into, or well, because I dated him, that I've had to meet. And it's really sad and disgusting and pitiful and bigoted because part of me just feels like, or even when I'm in public, especially whenever I have to teach a college class, there were people who, did you get run over by a car? Did your husband or boyfriend beat you? And it's like, what? Well, then you don't really have a disability then if that didn't happen. So those are my only options. Well, you don't look like anything should be wrong with you, so I've actually had idiots say this, and yes, they are idiots. And then some people, when it came to being vaccinated, you already have a disability. The vaccine is just going to make it worse. And I heard Joe Rogan say, I heard Candace Owens say, and it's like while they're taking vitamins or pills that are made for animals, they're trying to give me medical advice and tell me some of these like QAnon theory lies that they get from Republican media. So I'm going to talk about Republican media at some point down the line, but soon I have quite a few River of Racism episodes coming, and also I really want to analyze inventing Anna, and I've mentioned this a few episodes ago, but oh, and the Law of Lydia. Those two shows, the female main characters, and the things that they're forced to do or pressured to do, and how some, like with one, she's normally the villain, but then when you dig in, you kind of see and understand her outside of the villainy. But then on the other spectrum, the main character is not the villain, but when you dig deeper, you kind of see how and why she has to kind of dip into the darker side sometimes, and like the complexity of their characters, of them being, and yes, one is fiction, one is real life, but one of them is based off of like females being limited, not being allowed to be lawyers and things like that. So anyways, I'll talk to you guys later. And yeah, like I said, I have a lot of other material that I will be going over really soon. Because even with, let's see, like with the whole health insurance situation right now, it's like the way that they're turning it and trying to make it seem like a terrorist situation, when no, it might be mental health, it might be heartbreak, it might show how the system is broken, how how it is legal to deny someone care for them to pass away. And then even with that one Republican educational system, I think it's like Purdue University, whatever. Oh, that's such it, in my opinion. In my opinion, it is such garbage. The things that they have the nerve to put in there is so ignorant, idiotic, naive, corrupt, bigoted, just plain racist. But they have a portion that talks about how America's health system is, but no, no. When health insurance companies are legally allowed to deny people care, and then they can just watch people pass away just so they can get their bonus. I've told my or I have so many more stories, but I already share my medical and health insurance nightmare. It's like, so, but when it comes to like Bernie Sanders, a lot of people were like, because when he wanted health care for all, oh, that's socialist, that's this, that's that. And it's just like, okay, Medicaid, yeah, Medicaid, like, and then Social Security, but then they want to take Social Security away too. And some people are like, he's not going to do that. 45 is not going to do that. What are they talking about right now? Oh, and then that even makes me like, when it comes to immigration, it's like when I say they cheat the system, they convert and conform anything and everything to fit their philosophy. Because after what happened in Louisiana, and then that Tesla like thing going kaboom and everything like that, it's like they don't talk about the second one as much as the first one, because they keep wanting to say illegal immigrants and things like that, until they found out, oh, he's from Texas. He was born in, yeah, he was born in America. Oops, our bad. But yeah, we're still gonna turn it around and make people of color look bad. We're still gonna blame them, even though both the gentlemen like served or are serving in our armed forces and everything. I was gonna say army, but I'm not sure if they're both army and stuff. But like, what are we gonna do? Because, oh, another example is like with a lot of the bridges and a lot of the stuff that needs fixing around the country. Yeah, it's mostly Republicans that voted it down. But there was a huge piece of legislation that was voted for, and I think Biden was the creator. Like, I forgot exactly, but I know it was really backed by Biden. But it passed, it got through, and like a lot of the Republicans, especially some of the um, some of the most disgusting players within the Republican Party, they were like, no, 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 no. Once it passed, they were on social media. Hi, everybody. Guess what we just did? Guess what we passed? So, do you know what that means? We are going to fix A, B, and C in this state, and it's all because of this. It passed, even though they were one of the main people who voted it down. Because they're one of the people who voted it down. And then, oh, when it comes to racism, it's like they always want to try to talk about reverse racism, but then the examples they want to use is an exact example of the racism. Because I've mentioned this a couple times. I have a video that even has articles and a video on it. But if you guys have been listening, the farming situation where our Congress or where the government was going to give money to African American farmers. Yeah, they kept saying it shouldn't be based on skin color. It should not be based off of the color of your skin. That goes against what Martin Luther King said. And I'm just like, okay, you need to be quiet with that mess. Because guess why they got that money? This is the second time where government had to give African American farmers money because of racism, because they were denied money for years, and because of ding 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 being black. So they decided we're going to turn it around and we're going to say now it's reverse racism. That like people are not going to do their research. I'm going to repeat that. People are not going to do their research, especially the right. They're not going to know. As long as we say it's reverse racism, they're going to believe us. And another example, it went all the way, I believe, to the Supreme Court, where there was a nonprofit. Like I talked about this too. I think maybe it in the same episode. It might, if the title probably has river racism in it, which I'm gonna have a few more, because oh, I have landed into some racism. So for the like, I in one of my last college classes that I taught, it's like I remember one of, I don't really have any nice words about this student, but I remember he was just like, racism is over. When are you guys gonna get over it? And the funny thing is, he's a person of color. But, and part of me was just like, okay, if you have never faced racism, you are so fortunate. You are so fortunate. But especially within the African American community, a lot of us face it on a pretty regular basis, especially when it comes to getting business loans. Because especially for African American women gets less than 1% of business loans. Less than 1%. And so there was a group of ladies who created an organization that would give business loans or business money or funds to African American business owners to help them to be able to succeed and live the American dream. But then a lot of palm colored people decided, no, we're going to fight this. Because at first, the African American group, they won the first one or two trials, but then they kept taking it up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court voted against the African American women, saying they can't do that, even though when it comes to real estate like loans and business loans, almost any type of loans, African Americans get such a dismal, such a poor amount of it. And it's so hard for us to get to that type of money. And when you look at like the people who are always able to get the money, the rich, because it's like, especially after watching Inventing Anna, I've watched that so many times, and I'm going to do a talk about it because it's really crazy on the villainy on so many different sides. But anyway, when when you're talking about getting the money, how they get their money, and majority of the rich are palm colored. And so they're not going to use their own money. They're going to borrow the money. And a lot of people of color, we don't have the money for the backing. It's like, so usually we have to hustle and figure out ways to be able to finally be able to fully afford it on our own. But then it's like you have to think about rent and food and other items. But then that kind of reminds me, because it's crazy because like some people want, like myself, because I'm working on my business too. But just imagine trying to start your own business, trying working your tush off, and then it's like you hear a certain billionaire's mother on the news. Even if you can't afford it, have more babies, have more children. Just don't go to the movies, don't go out to dinner. You need to spend more time with the most important things in your life. Oh. And then she wants to start talking about how she started off, which kind of makes me wonder, like, okay, now I know I need to do some research, because she I keep hearing about this mine, and then I keep hearing that it's hearsay, it's gossip, it's not true. But all of this billionaire's money, he didn't come up with any of the ideas on his own. He bought the companies, or he was part owner of the companies. He never had any of the ideas himself. Not one. And so I think it's just kind of crazy with how, yeah, it's like, I guess another, I'll save that for another episode. But we have so many of the rich, and especially the billionaire rich, who are telling other people to have more babies, even if they can't afford it. But then when you can't afford things, people say you're lazy. If you end up homeless, they don't want to help you. When you're not able to afford healthy foods, they want to put that on you. Or when you're in a grocery store desert, they want to put that on you. When it's not your fault, you can't help it. Especially like, I just I just wonder, because there are so many ways and so many things that you would think the Christian Republican Party, the MAGA, would support and help. But then, oh, with the food, even people like Fox News, they're nodding and agreeing now about healthy foods and everything. But remember Mrs. Obama? And especially some of the things she was trying to do, but then it kept getting voted down, or they kept putting her down and kept saying no, no, no. Or why is she trying to tell us what to eat or how to eat? Why does she care? That's not her job. And then they was too busy trying to call her like a he, she, a trans, and a monkey and things like that. If you don't believe me, I have screenshots that prove it. I just haven't gotten it to it yet. Yeah, when I say I have some River of Racism episodes, I have some. And excuse me, I have another one for Haley Bailey. It's like they're putting that girl through it. It's like just because she was the Little Mermaid, just because she was Ariel, they hate her so much. And there's another episode that I really want to make and create that talks about. So you know what? I can get back to this subject again and everything, but some areas that I plan on talking about are river racism and kind of like finally, I keep saying finally get to the Reddit, but I'll get to it when I get to it. But Mrs. Obama and the food situation and how they'll praise a white man. They'll praise the white Republican man, but when an African American woman on the Democratic side is trying to promote and help and fix, no, that's no good. When we have an African American who was going to play a fictional character, it's like I had like one of my first episodes, River of Racism. Look at it, check it out. You will see some of the screenshots. Even there was a palm colored female who said white is better, literally. Check out that episode. I might put the link and everything in the description or on the slide and everything for you to look at, but I have the evidence. And I think that's one reason some people don't like me is because I do have the evidence or I am willing to prove my case and or I'm not gonna just talk about something because it's popular because I know a lot of people already talked about the specific screen or video that I have on the screen, but while thinking about this woman, to me it's just kind of crazy how they just keep getting away with things. And I didn't even get to the part where we're about to have a president with a felony who the judge is about to come down on, like like with the verdict. I didn't even get to like if Mr. Obama, if President Obama had a felony, they already had a hard time believing he was an American citizen. They already kept saying that a Hawaiian birth certificate isn't enough for them because they said it didn't look like a normal birth certificate. But now you have one of 45's best friends from South Africa coming in and telling 45 exactly what to do, how to do it, what to cut. And that's another thing. The Christian community, the Christian Republicans told Congress to vote down or take money away from cancer research. From cancer research. It's like, what does the Bible say about the sick? And oh yeah, that's another episode I will be doing soon too. Because for some reason people like let's just say I'm a Christian, but I need to figure out which type of Christian. Because like yeah, let's just say I have a lot of research to do. And one reason is because what a Christian woman said when I talked about some of the health things that I do, or especially with my disability. And oh my gosh, so many other topics too, because people think I'm selfish because I don't have any kids. But then the church community tells me if I have a kid and they have my disability, then I'll be selfish and no good. And I should be ashamed of myself if I have a kid with my disability. Yeah, that's the Christian community. That's from my church. Or a lot of some are outside the church, but a lot of people from my church. But anyway,